Hello, this is Chat for Distributed Systems 376 with Karen Hart. I worked on this homework with Avery, and we both received help from coding. So I'm going to start by explaining the chat server code. We're going to import system, socket, and thread, and we're going to have two arrays, one for the names and one for the sockets. I call them baby childs because I like to think of these as my children. It just, I don't know, it makes it more fun for me. And below that you have the formatted string, and under that we have the handle connection function. Within the handle connection function, we're going to get the name that is received as the first line of input from each connected client. We're going to put the name in the array. We're going to then put the associated socket in the other array. And we're going to continue receiving. And we're going to receive bytes. While messages and bytes are coming in, we're going to format the message and then send the message to all of the clients on the network except the sender, which is what this inner for loop does. And then we're going to keep receiving message and just repeat this process. And while there are no messages coming in, we're going to try and shut this down. And if we can't shut down the socket, we're going to accept the error and pass. And then we're going to close the connection and remove the socket and the name from the baby child's arrays. That way they're not counted when other clients try to send messages to the rest of the chat server network. And here, if program, we're going to get the port number from the second argument in sys.argv, and if there's an error, if there's an index error or a type error, we're going to exit the system. And then below this, we're going to create the communicator object, just as we have in class the past few times, and we're going to bind to any open interface, and we're going to listen for up to 10 connections. This number can be scaled from anywhere. Actually, I'm not really sure what the limit is because I haven't tested the limit, but Python can handle a lot of throughput and connections, so this can be scaled up if needed, but for the purposes of this homework, we don't really need to go we actually don't even need to go any greater than 3, I believe. While the program is running, we are going to accept the connection. We're going to create a communication thread called comms. It's going to target handle connection, where all of the messages are sent. And then our arguments are going to be socket, which is right here on line 72. And then we're going to start this thread below here on line 77. Whenever someone interrupts the program, so whenever someone presses Control-C, I believe, on Mac, we're going to shut down each of the sockets and close the sockets, which is done in this for loop right here. Then we're going to close the listener and exit the process. Next is the chat client. We're going to import system, socket, threading, and operating system. We're going to receive messages with this method. And so while bytes are coming in, we're going to display the message to the user, and we're going to keep receiving over here in line 21. If there's an error, we're going to pass. And then we're going to exit out of this process. We're going to try and connect on the port which is given to us as the second argument from the command line. If there is an index error within this array, meaning like if the user doesn't put a port number, then we're just going to exit the process. We're going to create the communicator object and connect via the local host and assign a port number in lines 37 and 38. And then we're going to create this receiving thread. It's going to target receive messages, and its argument is going to be M, which we created in line 37. The name of the user is going to be the first thing read in, so it's just going to be stored as name. The first thing will be stored as name. Then we're going to send that name, and we're going to start the receiving thread. We're going to receive the first message after name, and then while bytes are coming in, we're going to send this message to all of the other users on our network. And then we're going to read the next message while messages are still coming in. If there are no messages coming in, then we're going to shut down the socket and close the socket. Below here, I just have a whole bunch of, below on both of these programs, I have a bunch of leftover code. I can clean that up later. But this is the basics of chat client and chat server. And now if we go over to my Ubuntu server, I have the most up-to-date version of those files dumped in here. I'm going to run test 1. So for some reason, running test 1 just doesn't, it says it didn't exit properly. The first time I ran test 1, it said that it exited properly. And every time that I've run test 2, I get graded with 17. So I believe everything is fine. And thank you for sitting with me through that code read through. Have a good evening.